Hey everyone, it's Swank Ivy with another Letters to an Asexual, and this is number 126. I am still kind of going through some old conversations to share with you. I still have plenty of new takes on things, but I have found that since I have kind of moved away from arguing with a lot of people in the community and encountering new objections, a lot of the stuff that I'm sharing with you is pretty old, and even though most of it is still very relevant because this stuff is cyclical and there's always a new generation of people to educate, I'm also open to covering things that are maybe more relevant to right now. If you're thinking of anything that maybe my videos haven't covered, feel free to suggest it to me if you think I haven't extensively covered a topic that you'd really like to see covered here. But for now, I'm going to share another old one from a Tumblr conversation, which is essentially about why I make videos. And I know I've covered that too, especially like early on when I would get a lot of pushback from people saying, why do you need to talk about this? And I've come at that from many different angles as well. But one of the reasons that people sometimes give me is that, like, why do you want to show yourself giving attention to these kinds of people? And that's sometimes paired with an accusation that I'm intentionally putting myself in places so that I can have arguments, so that I can have content. It's the other way. Just talking about my life has caused people to flock to my content and say, I have to argue with this bitch. So, yeah, it's not difficult for me to end up in these conversations. However, just, like I said, because I haven't really been participating in the ongoing discourse, whatever it happens to be right now, I don't have any new examples, so all my stuff is a little crusty. But without further ado, I want to share with you an anonymous ask I got sent to my Tumblr quite a long time ago. And this person says, "Your posts from OkCupid are terrible." As though attempting to mock these people on a dating site isn't enough. You also feel the need to post them on Tumblr for all to see under the guise of it being related to asexuality. It's an embarrassment, not only to you, but to the asexual community. I hope that you will realize quite soon that there are much better ways to deal with these responses in a private manner, rather than openly sharing them. It is childish and uncalled for. Here's my response. Wow, my first negative anon. Sorry, person, for taking so long to answer. I seem to have been buried in people saying the opposite. Your criticism is empty. For two reasons. One, you give me no actual reason why my OkCupid posts are terrible, as if you just saying so makes it true. And two, you assign me some left field reason for why I must be doing it, under the guise of it being related to asexuality, then try to shame me for it. Well, you're wrong. First of all, I have a long history of mocking jackasses publicly, and I don't use their real names or even their screen names most of the time, unless it's YouTube, where they have posted publicly with that handle and apparently don't mind attaching their comments to their handles. This blog is primarily oriented toward asexuality, so I haven't posted any jackasses that aren't related to that. But I've been recording and posting conversations with assholes of all kinds since 1998. I run Conversations with Assholes and Asshole of the Day, and many of those are not asexuality related. I'm not looking for an excuse to do it. Under the guise of it being related to asexuality, I can do whatever I like, and I have no small number of readers who enjoy it. If you're not one of them, you're under no obligation to look. Secondly, the whole, this is childish, stop embarrassing yourself and your community thing is very silly. In case you haven't noticed, plenty of people here have been complimenting my posts and think my way of approaching the assholes is entertaining, useful, or both. Are you actually suggesting that the poor, wronged parties in this situation are those picked upon victims of mine, whose crimes are clear upon reading their words? No, I'm not going to keep the most egregious examples private. If they send me private messages, I do address them privately first. But if I see fit, I then take it public, because that leads into my latest point. Lastly, these posts. while also kind of entertaining, are learning tools. Pretty much everyone who's thanked me for them seems to have figured that out. When I use a real-life example of someone saying something inappropriate or ignorant, I'm both showing the world that we get this hate and showing the world how I deal with it. Giving them the arguments I use, showing them how these comments can be addressed. There's a small measure of, ha, I got you back, involved in my enjoyment of posting assholes, sure. But the semi-noble reason for doing it is to provide talking points and to help people see that they're not the only ones getting this kind of crap. Asexual people frequently get told that there is no organized or pervasive hate against them, and that therefore we're whiners. This is a good way to show how consistently we're dismissed and othered, and how it looks when it happens. And since you anoned and gave me no choice, this seems to have ended up public too. How childish of me. But seriously, my alternate contact information is very easy to find if you want to send me a more detailed message with more full-bodied criticism. That is, if you're willing to stop hiding behind anon. But I don't really want to hear it if your message is going to be, I don't like what you write, so you shouldn't write it. It A, has a purpose, and B, is being enjoyed by plenty of people. So you not appreciating it isn't a good argument for getting me to stop. I do find it kind of surprising that you'd stoop so low as to suggest I'm an embarrassment to the asexual community. What a laugh that is. As for better ways to deal with these responses in a private manner, it's funny that you'd suggest that, since I'm already responding to them personally, so that the individuals get the message, and I'm making broad awareness videos, writing articles, starring in documentaries, getting interviewed in magazines, and so on and so forth. In other words, I'm already very involved in spreading the message outside of posting asshole messages as well. You should be doing something else with your time sounds pretty petty and specious. I'm not planning to stop until or unless I run out of assholes, and somehow I think that's not going to happen. People connect with messages in a variety of different ways. Some people have liked doing so through my videos, because they like the visual medium and or hearing me speak. Some have liked my published articles, my writings, my interviews, and some feel a more personal connection with the information I'm presenting because I'm showing it in an authentic situation, a real call and answer between a jerk who doesn't understand and a person trying to change that. It's not your place, Anon, to tell people what they should and shouldn't be writing about. You're more than welcome to not read the posts if they are not to your liking. I've had one person in the community tell me that they meant no offense but had to unfollow because they couldn't deal with all the ace hate. You're welcome to follow that example, but you're not welcome to tell me I should accept that the responsible thing to do is shut up. Arguing with a person by trying to silence them is generally a piss-poor idea. I recommend against it. To elaborate a little on the importance of public takedowns of these people, I do often choose the most egregious examples because it helps to understand what the talking points are in a really obviously ridiculous and bigoted situation. When you encounter like the less egregious versions of those arguments, you can still use the talking points. And what I've found is that when I see, say, an article that is about, something that I support, maybe trans rights, maybe something in, a progressive political atmosphere or something, discussing an issue that I care about, and then the comments are just full of bigots or full of people saying ignorant things, I get really discouraged when I see that, when I see how many people are saying such ignorant garbage, bigoted stuff, and then there's no pushback. I imagine that some of the people who are watching this video have felt that way too, if they are unfortunate enough to look at the comments. So it's encouraging when the comments are more moderated, or when you do see pushback, when you do see people responding in an intelligent way to bigotry. It helps feel like, okay, maybe the world isn't totally just hopelessly overrun by these assholes. So it's encouraging to see that there are counters to these arguments, just that they're out there. And it also not only teaches those talking points, but it shows that we have opposition out there, right? That there are people making these arguments against us, and that therefore the messages that we're creating, the education, it has a purpose, because there are people who need to learn these things. And one thing I've also heard from other activists is that sometimes when you're arguing with a jerk, somebody who's just incorrigible, someone who's been rude, someone who truly does not deserve your response, a lot of times if you're giving it anyway, it's for the benefit of other people who are watching. And research does actually support that arguing with an asshole is often a lot more helpful to the spectators who are watching, rather than getting through to the asshole. You want to make it your point, to make it your mission to construct a good argument, because somebody else might be watching that. I recently read this really good book called Assholes, A Theory, and that was where I read about that research, that sometimes, yeah, it might be hopeless to talk to someone if they're truly an asshole as defined by this book, but that the benefit is that other people can see that these arguments exist, and that the asshole isn't just running everything and just hopelessly in charge, always going to be making these arguments and controlling everything and having their reign as just this destructive person that no one's going to push back. So it sometimes takes a level of patience, a level of guts, sometimes a level of security or privilege to be the one who responds in those ways. And I feel that I'm a pretty secure person. I'm not easily harmed by these narratives. I do live with a lot of privilege in my life, so I do feel like having those conversations is something I can handle, and that the arguments I'm making are solid, and that they're usually grounded in either personal experience or research or both, and that therefore I am making a difference when I put these arguments out there. It's not just because, oh, I like to argue with people. I don't actually like arguing with people, and I've done a lot less of it in the last, say, 10 years. And it's partly because of the cyclical nature of those arguments that, oh, I've heard this before, I've made a video about this before, I don't need to do it again. So that's where I am with that. But those conversations were worth having, and they're still out there, and people still saying these ignorant things are still out there. Sometimes they're your family members, sometimes they're your loved ones, sometimes they're people who have a lot of power and a big platform, and there need to be those of us who are willing to counter those things. The next generation of asexual activists is already out there after me, and they're doing a great job being a lot more active in the cesspool than I am right now. But I like to keep checking in once a month and making a video and making sure everybody knows I'm still here, I'm still listening, and I probably still have relevant things to say from my vantage point of what constitutes an elder in this community. So I'm still willing to offer my seasoned perspective on things if you feel like I haven't addressed something that maybe I haven't seen going around in the community these days. So feel free to weigh in the comments, give me ideas, and if I don't have any more food for thought to offer, I'll probably still continue to share some older perspectives that I think are still relevant. So that will be it for this one, but I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for listening.